What up? This is the Too Tall Sports Podcast. Thank you for being with me again. Episode number 25. Can you believe it, all you loyal listeners out there? We've made it to 25 episodes. A lot of great content. If you haven't heard them all, please go back and review and listen to the other ones. Everybody's got a great story, and I try to always bring on, people that have good content to deliver to you guys, and hopefully you guys learn something from every episode or hear something different that you might not have heard before in the sports world. So great to have you back again, episode 25. Today is with Mike Gallo. He's a former Major League pitcher with the Houston Astros. Went to Long Beach State. We talk about that and his kind of meteoric rise from kind of floating around in A-ball at the lower end of the minor leagues and then just shooting right up through the Astros system and making it to the big leagues. He's got lots of stories. It's a little bit of a longer episode, but I think you'll really enjoy it. Lots of good little nuggets in there. So please enjoy my episode with Mike Gallo. And also, as always, you can find me on social media at Too Tall Sports Podcast. Twitter is at Too Tall Sports. Facebook, you can find me there. And, of course, to listen pretty much anywhere. We're available on almost all platforms, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, rate, and review if you could on there. At least 5 stars when you scroll down to the episode page on Apple Podcasts. Just scroll down to the more episodes, and you should find the little stars. If you could give me 5, that'd be great. But yeah, enjoy the episode today. And we're also on YouTube. If you want to watch the episodes, just type in Too Tall Sports Podcast and enjoy the episode. We'll see you on the other side. All right, welcome back to the Too Tall Sports Podcast. My next guest is a former Major League pitcher for the Houston Astros. He was drafted in 1999 by Houston out of Long Beach State and got to pitch in the 2005 World Series. He is a part-time DJ and happens to live near one of my new favorite friends of the show, Randall Shelley. And he is a true Long Beach guy. And his name is Mike Gallo. What's going on, Mike? How are you?
What's happening? Yeah, I share a wall with Randall Shelley. I could, if he farts, I could probably hear it.
You know what? Yeah. He's been my booking guest lately. Like he's getting everybody for me.
No, and I could do the same for you. I could throw out some guys to you too as well. I got a lot of buddies that love to do this kind of stuff.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know we got a lot to get to, but as far as your career and everything, but I wanted to first get to just 2020 in general. What's it been like for you and your family this year, just with everything happening?
Oh man, well, I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I'm not gonna lie to you. This year has been tough mentally. I want to say I learned adversity in baseball. Well, now I'm getting a tough reality in adversity in real life. And what I learned in baseball at dealing with adversity is what's helping me try to help me with my family. But, I got 3 beautiful kids. I have a 7th grader, a 3rd grader, and a 1st grader, 2 girls. And that boy, my youngest, is in 1st grade. His birthday's this Saturday. Nice. Evan Gallo, 7 years old. And then Kira's my middle daughter. She's 8. And then my oldest is going to be 13 in December, Carly. So it breaks my heart to see that they're learning school, especially my 2 youngest ones, from a computer screen. I'm very irritated by it as a parent. We chose the hybrid model for Long Beach Unified. And, overall, it's one of those things where, as the family walks by.
That's all right.
Hey, I know. Oh, it's 5-1 now. Evan, Evan, come here.
No.
Come. Yeah. Is it 5-1? To show them it's 5-1. Say, what's up? 5-1. Oh,
there
no. They
pulled.
No. Yeah. No, but, So, yeah. But anyways, So it's been a big challenge. I'm not saying I battle depression, but I know I haven't made it easy on my family because I'm very irritated with the politics of this state, the lockdown of this state. Yeah. When my daughter just has to go to Arizona to go play soccer for her first tournament since February. It's okay to play in Arizona, but we can't play here in Southern California.
Right.
And it's just I'm kind of getting a bad vibe in California, but my day job is Southern Wine and Spirit, Southern
right.
Glaciers Wine and Spirits. The booze industry is going through the roof.
There you go.
One thing that's going to happen after this lockdown or the restrictions and everything opens back up, there's going to be a lot of alcoholics, and I'm scared for them. But
for sure, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I go to liquor stores and I distribute. And I'm a salesman. So,
okay.
But anyways, I'm fighting the good fight, trying to get these kids back in class. That's my focus, along with my day job. And
Sure.
we are playing some youth baseball over at Los Altos. It's not games per se, but it's fall ball for Evan, and we're having a good time.
That's good, man. Well, I want to get to at least your upbringing a little bit. So, like I said from the beginning, you're a true Long Beach guy, born and raised there. Was baseball always your main sport growing up?
My dad always had sports on TV, football, hockey. I became a Kings fan at a very young age. That's one sport I wish I would have played and got on some ice skates, because I love going to hockey games. My son got on some skates. He still wants to, but he wants to do everything right now. So, but overall, the baseball was the number one sport for me. Oh, 6-1? Oh no, it's a blowout now. Oh God, I'm getting updates. Yeah, I didn't turn the game on purpose for my son.
Yeah,
but anyways, check this out. Yeah, Dodgers are good enough to come back 3-1. They can't be.
Yeah.
So it's just they got to put their grind. But anyways,
right.
but I baseball only because what's ironic is that I didn't play t-ball. My dad told me at a young age, if you can't play catch, you can't play catch. You're afraid of the ball. I'm not putting you in baseball. So it's not that I was afraid of baseball, but I just didn't develop the skills quite yet. I didn't play Little League until I was 8 years old. So I played Pop Warner football when I was 8 years old. I had a problem making weight, making sure for my age group I was the right amount of weight, because they don't want no one getting hurt, and all that jazz. So I did play Pop Warner in Long Beach. That was fun for 1 year. I was a tight end and a defensive end. I played offense and defense. And I'll tell you right now, I learned about conditioning at a young age. So that kind of set some foundation for me about how to train. But overall, being left-handed, my dad was in my ear going, "Son, if you just throw strikes and you could pitch, you could have a long time in this game." And so, you know what? I think maybe it saved my arm by not playing baseball until I was 8 years old, because the year-round baseball these kids are doing now, a lot of these kids
crazy.
They're blowing out at a young age, and I could touch on that later. But
sure,
I'll tell you, my feelings on year-round baseball is a no-no. But anyways, moving on.
No, I'm with you, man. Yeah, and actually, so I saw that you went to Milliken High School, and so when my dad listens to this, he went to Milliken also. So I always the quiz on why are they the Rams? Robert A. Milliken. So
Yep. Hey, let's hope and pray that a Ram's not too offensive to the people that are saying everything else is offensive. Did you hear Long Beach Jordan might be changing their name because L.A. Jordan did, and now Long Beach Jordan might get that. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that guy created Stanford, but now he's a racist. So we'll go to that later. But anyways,
when you were in high school, so I guess when did you really start coming into your own as a pitcher? When did you know that you were going to be able to compete at that level?
When I was 13 years old, I was over at Long Beach Pony, and I started pitching a lot more at that time, but my mechanics weren't very good. But I really started to love to pitch, because my energy level is the go, go, go. And, the game starts and stops with the pitcher, for the most part.
Yeah.
You control the game. And so outside being a catcher, I couldn't be a left-handed catcher. I didn't really think about it, but I do own a left-handed catcher's glove, though.
You got to when you have a kid playing baseball.
Exactly. So overall, I love to pitch at 13, but, ironically, when I went to Milliken, we were loaded. We always had good pitchers, and I was that kid that had a Warren Spahn type leg kick. I was all big leg kick at 5'9", weighing $150, trying to throw the ball 95 miles an hour, but I didn't know how hard I was throwing. But I kept telling myself, I got to have this high leg kick to look deceptive and to throw. It'll help me throw really hard. I just put that in my head, and luckily I was able to throw strikes with these wacky mechanics. But Nick Beerbrot was on our staff he was on varsity as a junior, I think. I didn't make varsity till my senior year because we had two good arms. Eric Ireland, who was a 5th-round pick by the Astros in '95, he had a full ride at University of Texas, and he ended up turning down college and went to pro ball, but he never made it to the big leagues. But Eric's still a good friend of mine today. Eric Ireland was the number 1 overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks in their first year of their draft. Yeah. So Nick got a couple coffee in the big leagues, and he, didn't quite stick around too long as well. So, but we had those two horses, and I had to prove that I could play first base and right field, and I could hit. And back then I was a line drive kind of hitter. And one of my highlights in senior year, actually, so I like back this up. I barely pitched my senior year. I only threw like 19 innings my senior year. Our team ERA was like .87, and we were number 1 in the nation. I'm sorry, number 3 in the nation going into our second round of our CIF game, but we couldn't hit. We weren't too good with the sticks. We had low scoring games, but we'd always outpitch the other team, and we lost to Simi Valley up there on the road in second round of my senior. So it sucked. But right when the USA Today came out, we were the number 3 high school baseball team ranked in the country, and we lose the second round of the CIF as the number 1 seed in CIF. Right. But we had to go all the way to Simi Valley. So overall,
so you didn't pitch that much in high school.
No, and you know what? First round CIF against Cypress Junior College. I'm friends with the pitcher that I got the game-winning hit off of, Patrick Murphy. I don't know if you know him. He's a coach over at Cypress, I believe. Now, don't quote me, but yeah. Anyway, I could get you on the show with Cypress. Okay. Cypress is a good baseball player. Anyways, so he threw me. So I'm up there batting, I don't know, 6th hole, game-winning run on second base, bottom of the 9th inning. It's 1-1 against Cypress, who was the 62nd seed in the playoffs. So it was 1 versus 62, and they took us all the way to the last inning. He throws me 2 hammers for curveballs, and I took him for strikes. And I was like, all right, I dare you to throw that curveball again, but you're not getting nothing by me. I'm going to fight everything off. That was in my mind. And he throws me a letter-high fastball, and I just slap it line drive right over the shortstop's head, and I got to experience a game-winning hit in CIF baseball. And that was my highlight. But that was my last actual kind of made at bat, because I went to Long Beach City College after turning down. Yeah, I turned down some Cal State LA and Dominguez Hills kind of partial scholarships. Yeah, I wanted to
ask you about that because obviously, like we were talking about, you didn't get to pitch a lot. So I wanted to see kind of what your thoughts were at. Like, did you just need those junior college years to develop and really get looked at that point?
Yeah. So my whole process was in my mind, and I talked with my dad about this. And my mom too, but my dad was more like, we got to get you to what do you want to do? And I'm like, I would love to go to a Division I baseball program. I barely pitch, so no one knows who I am. I mean, they could see me as a lefty that could play right field, has a decent arm, and I could play first base, but I'm not that tall.
Right.
But so Casey Crook over at Long Beach City said, hey, we would love to have you, and you could come and compete, and you could pitch and see what happens. So me, Greg Moore was another guy that was on our pitching staff at Milliken that ate up a lot of innings our senior year. He comes over to Long Beach City. My third baseman, Nate Fernley, he comes over to Long Beach City. That guy ends up going to BYU, and he led the nation in strikeouts as a pitcher. He goes from being third baseman to a guy that throws 80% sliders, just punching everybody out at BYU. It was a trip, but we had some talent. So Long Beach City College, though, I didn't start the year as a starter. I kind of was like the 5th guy, I guess you want to say. And I kept competing, and I kept telling Coach, hey, Coach, if I'm not going to pitch, let me get a chance in the outfield. I could hit. So I kept bugging him. I could hit. And eventually I started getting some BP, and he wanted to see and I did okay at batting practice. And I think I did get one City College at bat, but I struck out. But the highlight is I only had 1 year at City because I took my SATs. I passed them. I took them twice to try and better my scores, but I qualified for Long Beach State out of high school. But no, I didn't want to pay to go there and try and walk on and all that. So I ended up going to City and just taking some classes and having a good time and trying to get some exposure. So we ended up winning the conference that year at Long Beach City Tide. It was Casey Crook's, I think, first or second conference title, I think, because he was still kind of, I don't know how many years in he was in back in '95, but he's been there still. He's still to this day. He's still at Long Beach. Long Beach City.
Time.
I could get Casey on your show too, but we'll talk about that. But overall, it came out against Cerritos Junior College, who was the favorites to win the conference that year. Our starter, Greg Moore, had a fever and couldn't pitch. Well, I was fresh as can be, and Gallo, you got the start at Cerritos. So I go CG. I throw 9 innings. I give up 2 home runs to the same guy who ended up becoming teammates with at Long Beach State, and Chuck Lopez. I don't know if you remember Chuck Lopez. You got to Google Chuck Lopez because he was on our College World Series in 1998 at Long Beach State. So this kid was a masher, and he was left-handed. So as a lefty versus lefty, I'm giving up home runs to lefties. I was like, this is not the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
But he was the only guy to hit me. I shoved it up the rest of that team's butt, and all of a sudden now I'm in the rotation, and I proved to them I could do it. And I end up pitching my butt off, and that was probably about, I want to say, the first couple weeks in the conference, and I became a pitcher full born. And Mike, my pitching coach over there was Mike Carpel. He's a great pitching coach. He's been all over the place, and I don't know if he's still coaching anymore, but he simplified my leg kick, because I had remember that high, crazy leg kick.
Yeah.
I just kind of simplified it, hit my balance point, stayed back, and started learning the mechanics. And I was always the fire guy, like, I want to shove it up your butt kind of guy. I just had to harness it and slow the game down because the game was so fast for me. I had to slow it down. And, I started learning a little bit about the mental part of the game. But most of that happened at Long Beach State with Ken Revisa, who, God rest his soul, he passed away. But, I mean, his book, Heads Up Baseball, I think every pitcher needs to read that, even hitters. I mean, it's good for hitters too, and coaches. But overall, what I learned –
go ahead. So how did you go from, like, were there any other places you were going to pitch, or you were dead set, I'm staying, at home, I'm going to Long Beach State after Long Beach State?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I went to a Long Beach State baseball camp my junior to senior year, and I met Dave Snow, and I threw a bullpen, and he kind of knew of me. The recruiting staff knew of me. Jim Yogi, who's a good friend of mine now to this day, he's a coach over at Los Altos Cal Ripken Youth Baseball at El Dorado Park. He's still around, and he recruited me too. And they knew of me, so they kind of knew me. So they almost had like a head start on me because they kind of followed me already. And so I'll never forget my last game against Mount Sac. We're playing a game, and it's for the title. We had to beat them to be co-champs. If we lost, Mount Sac would have been outright champs. So I'm pitching. I go CG in that game, and I see a little short Hawaiian guy, and I know who the heck it was. He's wearing a Long Beach State hat, and he's got a big old-school camcorder on his shoulder, and he's sitting behind a plate videotaping the game. And of course, I kind of pay attention to my surroundings. I'm like, who's that back there?
Yeah.
And, as a pitcher in college, you always seeing who's got the radar gun up. And so I was just kind of seeing who was back there. And lo and behold, it was Jim Yogi from Long Beach State wanted to videotape my start and gave it to Coach Snow. And so the rest is history. But, after the season was over, Coach Snow and Long Beach State offered me tuition and books right away after my freshman year. Whereas JUCO players normally go there for a freshman, sophomore year, then they transfer.
Right.
But since I took my SATs and my grades were, C+, B- average, I was what they call qualified academically to go to a big 4-year college.
Right.
So I did, and as soon as I signed my letter, it's the summertime. I come back to clear out my locker at Long Beach State in the summer, and I get some mail, and I get a letter, and Coach goes, you can throw this away. I know you already signed with Long Beach State, but here's a letter from South Carolina. And I'm like, what? I go, I didn't even talk to anybody from South Carolina. So open up the letter and it says, hey, we would love for you to come on a trip. We're really interested in you. And I'm like, wow, I could have played in the SEC conference.
Yeah.
And I was like, but you know what? I wouldn't trade my 3 years at Long Beach State for $1 million, because what I learned there helped me get to the big leagues. And
that's what I wanted to ask you about. So once you got to Long Beach State, how did you go from, obviously you were starting to really gain some traction toward the end of your 1 year at Long Beach City, but how did you become now a prospect to play pro ball? What in those 3 years happened for you at Long Beach State?
Thinking back, my sophomore year, I just had to adjust to the Division I baseball, and we had some big arms on that team, and everybody's throwing a little bit harder than me, and I was probably pumping 87, 88 on a good day, upper 80s. But my whole thing was getting stronger, learning the Division I way, and learning Dave Snow's way of playing the game right in the game of baseball. And when you first sign with Long Beach State, this is something that's going on with the alumni, whereas I know I'm wearing a dirtbag shirt here.
That's right.
But the thing is, they're capitalizing on the name, the school. They're making money on the name. But to us, the alumni with Dave Snow, when you signed a letter of intent to come play at Long Beach State, you were a 49er first. You were a 49er. You weren't a dirtbag. You had to earn that badge. And there was guys, I'll be honest with you, Dave Snow will say, you played here, but you weren't a dirtbag. I mean, he won't name names, but there's players that, were I guys. They weren't team guys. All they cared about was themselves. To me, that's not a dirtbag. And, we're the new coach there now at Long Beach State, Eric Venezuela, awesome. He knows the tradition. He listened to the alumni before the hiring thing was going on, and the AD, Andy Fee, he heard our pleas, our cries. What's wrong with the program? Why is it not successful? Why have they been back to Omaha since 1998? That was the I have my plaque right over there. I mean, Omaha was a dream come true, and I'll tell you about that. But overall, they haven't been back since 1998, and they've had all these big leaguers come through there. We're talking Weaver, Tulowitzki, Longoria, Espinoza, Vargas. I mean, they had some arms and to this day, there's still guys pitching in the big leagues that, granted they're in the big leagues, but they never got to go to Omaha. And to me, if I would have never went to Omaha, it would have been a disappointment, because what I know now was just as good as being in the big leagues was pitching in that College World Series. And we were the only non-football school, low-budget program in that series. It was, Miami, Arizona State, USC, Florida State. I think LSU was in that mix for a minute.
Like Power 5 schools, and you're a Big West school coming out of nowhere. Yeah.
Big money football schools where the guys are walking in with their Nikes and here we are sponsored by, I don't know what it was, Mizuno, but it was cool. But I ended up wearing Mizuno in the big league, so I loved it. But anyways, so my sophomore year I didn't pitch very much. My junior year, I didn't have the confidence from Dave Snow yet, and he was our pitching coach and head coach. I had a good fall, really good fall, and he gave me the first start of the season. My junior year against USC, and I think I pooped down my leg. I walked guys. I just didn't have the control, and he just said I was pitching scared or just I don't know. Just something didn't click. Well, as we progressed through that season of my junior year, I'll never forget this. And this is the year we get to the College World Series, and I had to pitch against Miami twice with Pat Burrell, Aubrey Huff. There were Jason Michaels. There were some big leaguers on that team already, and Pat Burrell was the number 1 draft pick by the Phillies that year in '98. He hit a home run off me. The ball hasn't landed yet. But
Burrell, he was legit, man.
Yeah, he was. But I struck his. Can I say ass?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
I struck his ass out in second at bat that nobody remembers. Looking. But anyways, So my junior year, I'll never forget this. We go on a trip to play up in Santa Barbara to play the Gauchos. And I went on the trip, but I didn't pitch all 3 days. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? So I kind of got pissed. And we get back home, and we were at Santa Barbara for 3. Then we're back on the road the following weekend at Cal State Fullerton. So I'm out there shagging balls, and Dave Snow's walking around the outfield, and he's talking to the guys. He kind of walks around and just checks in with guys and comes up to me, and I'm out there shagging just by myself. And he goes, hey, you're not going to get too many more opportunities. You got to show me something. And I think I took that, I think back to that and I get emotional. I don't know why I'm getting emotional about it, but I think that one pinnacle point in that day, it was like,
it was your turning point in your career.
Yeah. If you look at your amateur career, it's like this. Well, as soon as that day happened, it just went like this. Boom. It was like I had 2 rocket boosters and I was taking off. And
you just needed a little motivation.
Yeah, that too. But all of a sudden, Jeff Leuenberger out of Anaheim Hills is pitching, and he gives up, I think, 4 runs in the first 2 innings, and he pulls them. I was the first man up. He put me in the bullpen. He said, get hot. So I got hot, and I ended up pitching the next 6 innings scoreless against Cal State Fullerton, who was ranked at that point probably top 15, and I shoved up their butt, and we ended up winning the game, and I got the win. So then after that game, Snowman said, all right. He gave me the ball. I started the next week, and then I became the Friday night guy my junior year from there on out. So I was getting matched up against other number 1s of other schools the rest of the year, and then you throw me in the College World Series. Well, back this up. We had to go to Stanford for the regional, which was very hostile with Alabama, NC State. We had some really good teams in that bracket. Loyola Marymount snuck in there, but we owned Loyola Marymount during the season in our midweek games. But Coach Snow told me, he's like, hey, you're a dirtbag. And when you hear that,
yeah, man, that's a big deal.
You're bringing back some cool memories, though. But
no, I didn't want to get you emotional, but it means it mattered to you, right? So
yeah. So we go to Stanford, Palo Alto, and Stanford was number one all year, and then they pooped down their leg in the Pac. Back then it was the Pac-10 in their tournament, and they didn't win the Pac-10 tournament, but they still earned the number 2 seed of the thing. So we go up there, and I'm all thinking we're going to play or I'm pitching the first game of the regional. And he goes, nope, you're not pitching the first game. And I'm like, whoa, what's up with that, And I'm your ace right now. What's going on? And I'm thinking that. I didn't say that. I was just like, okay.
Sure.
He goes, we're saving you. I'm like, all right. So we get waxed our first game against NC State. And lo and behold, Loyola Marymount beat Stanford in their first game. So Loyola started a lefty, and the lefty shoved it up Stanford's butt. So all of a sudden, Stanford's in the losers bracket in their own regional with us. And lo and behold, it's like, hey, you're pitching tomorrow. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, the previous game with that was Cal State Fullerton, and that was in our Big West tournament. And I go CG, and we went 12-0. We shoved it up Fullerton's butt. It was I think the first time Long Beach State ever shut out Cal State Fullerton. I have to look back at that, but I think it was. And we mashed. We just hit. And so it was easy to pitch when it's 12-0.
You're right,
right. But overall, I shut them out. And so I mentally, back then, I'm 20 years old, I think, or 21, maybe 20, I think. And I could pitch against Stanford. And I took that game of my last game against Cal State Fullerton out to the mound with me against Stanford. The College World Series was awesome. So, mind you, all these things that I'm going through prepared me for the next level.
Sure.
I wasn't even thinking pro ball. I wasn't even sniffing pro ball. I love college baseball so much that if pro ball happened, it was just a bonus. I wasn't sitting there going, gosh, I could pitch in the big leagues. Now, that thought did start coming in my head my senior year because after the junior year, I didn't get drafted because I peaked at the wrong – all the scouts said, we turned in our names already. You peaked in early May, and the draft's in June, and you peaked too soon, or you peaked too late. So I had the Cardinals offer me $5,000 and tuition and books to finish my degree. And I talked to Dave Snow. He's like, no, you don't want to do that. And I'm like, yeah. And you don't see this now with juniors anymore. So overall, it got to the point where it was almost welcoming to come back for my senior year. And I knew I was going to be the ace from the get-go. It was my job to lose. It wasn't like I had to fight to get that. I just had to keep doing what I was doing. And so overall, that senior year, we got a transfer from Wake Forest. His name was Jeremy Ward. Big righty, threw hard. And it was a competition. Snow made it a competition. Who wants to pitch on Friday night? And I outpitched him a little bit, and I ended up becoming the Friday night guy. So my senior year, I had to pitch against Barry Zito to start the season. All the scouts are there to see him. And then all of a sudden, like, who's this Mike Gallo guy? Oh, well, we know this guy. We saw him a little bit last year, but let's start scouting him. And then all of a sudden, I started getting letters in my locker. I come into the field every day, and I'm getting another letter from the Cubs, and there's psychological tests that you got to take and see if I'm draft worthy. I don't know. So the rest is history. I mean, we didn't make it to the College World Series that year. Well, I thought we should have, but the draft comes. I was Big West Conference Pitcher of the Year in 1999. So all of a sudden, I started feeling the pro ball buzz a little bit. Started hearing the buzz and sitting with scouts and talking with scouts, but obviously no offers because that's illegal. But draft day comes, and Doug Deutsch, who signed to Morgan Ensberg, a couple other big leaguers, Jason Lane. I don't know if you remember those names, but
of course, yeah.
5th round, I was the 173rd pick overall, I believe, and I got the phone call, and it was like, "Hey, Mike, it's Doug Deutsch. We just got you in the 5th round," and I was like, awesome. When do I leave? I want to leave tomorrow. I was ready to go. Even though I just threw 123 innings at Long Beach State my senior year, lo and behold, I didn't know where I'd end up that first summer. But, so I know I've been talking a lot. But
no, that's okay. I'll get a question in there. So, what the whole draft process, obviously, It's awesome to get drafted. But as far as your transition, I'm guessing you hadn't really been away from home much. So what was it like for you to go from college to pro ball?
So college to pro ball, coming from a big city, going to a, basically a small podunk town was surreal to me. I was excited. I didn't travel around in an airplane too much. My senior year, I flew to Puerto Vallarta for my senior trip. That was the last time I was actually on an airplane, probably. Maybe I flew to Vegas. I don't know. But but overall, they shipped me to Auburn, New York, the New York Penn League. And we were the Auburn Double Days. I didn't even know who that was. I looked it up, and we didn't have Google back then. We didn't have iPhones back then, so I kind of had to go old school through a dictionary. Who's Auburn Doubleday? And I guess he's the man that invented baseball. Okay. So I learned something. And the highlight of this town was there's a prison in downtown Auburn, or just outside downtown Auburn. It's upstate New York. I didn't even know there was an upstate New York. When you said New York, I was thinking of the city. I didn't know there was a country part of New York, and that was surreal. So I was there, and walk into a lock. Actually, I get dropped off with a cab, and there's no host, and I make a phone call. They're like, yeah, just take a cab to the hotel. Somebody will meet you there. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And so it was a taste of, hey, you're on your own. You're on your own now. So I didn't get scared from it. I kind of was like wide-eyed to it, like this is cool. And so, on the flip side, I got to the point where I was like, the number one thing I wanted to do in pro ball is face wooden bats. I was facing those gorilla bats. I could jam the snot out of a college hitter, and he could still put some decent speed on the bat, or drop a line drive. And I'm like, damn, I got that guy's kitchen. Yeah. How's he still jamming it and slamming it down the line? So now I want to break some bats, and I was amped up. My first start, I ended up becoming the opening night starter for them too. And granted, I was a senior signed, so I did have some younger dudes. So I was kind of like an older guy on the team. And the first night, I throw like 5 innings, didn't give up any runs. I struck out like 5 guys, and it was a good first outing. And the pitching coordinator was there, and I get back to the locker room, and the game's over, and I shower, and that was a cool, weird experience, because at Long Beach State, we only showered when we traveled, like if we're traveling that same day, and we're on the road. So all of a sudden, it became a thing I had to learn. You got to have shower shoes, and you're showering after every game at the stadium, no matter how dirty and smelly the shower is. So, and there was some dirty showers. Oh, yeah,
the Miners has the worst. Some of these cities are terrible.
But overall, dude, I get called in the office my first start, and they have the chart. Hey, Mike, you did a good job on your first night. Our scatter reports didn't have your velocity like this. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they showed me the chart, and I was at 94, 93, 92. And they said, what's what? I go, well, look, I've been off for a couple weeks. I feel fresh. I go, I'm amped up about pro ball, and I want to face wooden bats. I wanted to break some bats. And they just started laughing. And I think at that point, they realized I was mature, and, to the point where maybe I didn't belong in this rookie league that we were in. It was short season A. So they just go from middle of June to Labor Day. Now, granted, there was a team above me in Battle Creek, Michigan, that started in April. They break spring training, and then they go. So I made another start in Auburn and did well again. I think I made 3 appearances. You might have my stats. I don't know if you have my
I didn't have your minor league stats, but I
okay, no worries. Yeah. So overall, I get called into the office, and I experienced my first, whatever you want to call it, call up.
Right.
But it was just called up to single A.
Right.
A long season A.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, well, Mike, we don't normally do this. Normally we put you in a level, you stay there the whole year. But your stuff is good enough. They need some help up the next level. They had an injury, and we needed you up at the next level. I'm like, cool. So I had to get on a plane and a little puddle jumper and get over to Battle Creek, Michigan. Highlight of this town was Kellogg cereal.
Okay.
I always try and remember certain cities by landmarks or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get there to the first game. I suit up and meet a couple guys. Some guys knew of me that I played against in college baseball, but no friends. But I became friends with everybody.
Sure. Yeah.
But when you don't pitch, if you're pitching the next day, you're in the stands in street clothes, and you're charting.
Right.
So you could scout the guys that you're going to be facing. See if you pick up any tendencies. If they swing first pitch, whatever. Are they a bad breaking ball team? Who knows? You can beat them inside. But all of a sudden, I'm back there watching the radar gun, and on the mound was Johan Santana. And he's blowing 94, 93. And it looks so easy. And I'm like, why isn't this kid in the big leagues already? I was tripping out. But he was young. And so that was him. The next day starter, I was the third guy, so I had to do the game chart, then the gun chart or something like that. Yeah. It just alternated. The next starter was another guy throwing 93, 94, just with ease, with a 67-mile-an-hour curveball, Roy Oswalt. I'm just like, I get to a staff with big leaguers already before they were big leaguers, and it was a trip. Yeah. But Johan Santana wasn't protected, I think, after that year, and he was Rule 5 of the Twins. And the Astros were kicking themselves in the ass after
big
that.
Mistake there.
But yeah. Roy kind of flew through the system after those last couple of years.
Right.
But yeah. So
I wanted to ask you about the other levels too. Like once, because I was just I didn't have a lot. Well,
I repeated Battle Creek, Michigan. That summer and 2 more summers after that.
Okay.
I was stuck in A-ball because I ended up, they moved me to the bullpen because my durability started coming into question about pro ball. So they threw me in the bullpen, and I'll never forget this. My last year in Michigan. So this is the year where I was like, either it's time for me to, pitch my butt off, or excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze.
Yeah, that's right.
But anyway, it's like put up or shut up.
Right.
Move on to a different career. So we go to Peoria, Illinois on a road trip, and that's the Cardinals A-ball team. And J.D. Drew was coming down for a rehab assignment. Well, everybody on the pitching staff wanted to face J.D. Drew because he's a big leaguer. They want to see how they do against a big leaguer. And so on that note, I'm trying to think, it was like the 7th inning, 8th inning, maybe the 6th inning. They warmed me up purposely to face J.D. Drew. They knew where he was coming to the lineup. And the starter went his 5 innings. He came out for the 6th, and J.D. Drew came up. They took out the starter, and they put me in. And I threw him a slider, fastball away, and he beat it in the ground, and that was it. I faced a couple more hitters after that, but that was it. And then the coach told me, hey, do you think you can get big leaguers out, left-handed big leaguers out all the time? And I'm like, you could tell me that I got to pitch against anybody in the big leagues, and I'll go. I don't care. But, yeah, I like facing lefties. And so at that point I became a prospect, I think, because then they sent me to another city, Lexington, Kentucky, play for the Lexington Legends. UK's there, so that was a little bit better of a town, let me tell you.
Yeah.
They ended up calling me up to AA for the playoffs in Round Rock, Texas, and now I'm back with Roy Oswalt again, another guy named Tim Redding who was in the big leagues, a couple other big leaguers. I'm drawing a blank on some other guys, but hitting-wise, some other hitters that were in the big leagues.
When you got to AA, now where you think your career is at that point?
Yeah. So basically, AA, I get to, playoffs. I get my first outing. I give up a jack over in San Antonio against the AA. I think it was the Dodgers. Bomb my first at bat. It's like, dang, they're going to send me back down. That was my thought. I'm like, I didn't make a good first impression. But that year was a trippy year. So the season ends. We didn't win the championship. I didn't lose the game, but I just came in a mop-up situation. But I go home. The season's over, and I finished the year at AA, and I didn't know what was going to happen. And I think I had to be protected on a certain roster in case I got Rule 5'd. And I put up the numbers where if you didn't protect me, at least at the AAA level, I could have got picked up and thrown it. Because to be protected, to say if they protected me in AA, another team in the Rule 5 draft can get me, but they have to put me in AAA.
Right.
So what a lot of teams do, if the guy's not ready for the big leagues, they'll protect you in AAA. That means if you get Rule 5, they got to put you in the big leagues for the whole year. If not, they send you back to the team you came from. But anyways, I'm at home. I'm enjoying my first week off of a long season, and I get a phone call. Maybe it's 2 weeks in, and I wasn't really playing catch. I started weight training a little bit, but I get a phone call from our minor league coordinator, and he said, "Hey, Mike, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just enjoying my time off and getting ready to train and get ready for next season." He's like, "Well, hey, can you get to Arizona?" I said, "For what?" And he goes, "Well, one of our players got hurt. We could send 4 players to the Arizona Fall League, and one of our infielders got hurt, and we could fill the spot, and we'd like to have you go out there and face the top minor league hitters in baseball. And I'm like, come again? So you know that part in Top Gun, in the movie Top Gun, where they said, well, you know what? Those two guys just messed up. I got to send you two wahoos. You're going to Top Gun.
Right.
You know, and so I'll never forget, man. I'm in the car driving out to Arizona. I was in Mesa. I played for the Mesa Solar Sox, and I had no idea what to expect, but I knew we got to wear big league uniforms, and I'm like, oh, man, I get to wear an Astros uniform. This is going to be sweet. And I'm bumping highway to the danger zone on there. I was getting jacked up. And so, dude, I end up going to the fall league, and I throw just 11 innings, but I didn't give up any runs. I think I may give up one run, maybe no runs.
That's a big deal, man. You're facing the prospects. Like, you're getting close.
Yeah, now I'm 25 years old, mind you. And, you know, I was sniffing AA. I mean, not sniffing, but I was assuming I was going to go to AA the following spring training. So all of a sudden now I'm a prospect. And Baseball America starts writing up little things. And when you're in the minor leagues, Baseball America, that magazine was like the Bible. If you read that thing every month, and if your name was in it, you knew that you caught the attention of the organization. And so I started reading my name, like Mike Gallo continued his scoreless streak in Arizona Fall League. And where'd this guy come from? So I go to spring training that following year after pitching in the Fall League. I trained hard. I long toss a lot. My velocity kind of was jumping up there to 90, 91, 92 on a consistent basis with the sinker and my four-seam fastball. Had a changeup. I barely used it, but I had a curveball and a slider. And I go to spring training, and I do well. And I face some AAA guys, but mostly AA guys. And I break camp with AA. And I was ecstatic. I was in Round Rock, Texas again. And I was only there for like a couple weeks when I was there for the playoffs, but it's Austin, Texas. UT's there. You know, now we start flying to places, and so but it was commercial. It sucked. We were always the first flight of the day. So say we play a game till 11:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and we're on the road the next day, and God knows New Orleans or somewhere like that, or not New Orleans. I'm trying to think of a AA city that we had to fly to.
It was probably the Texas League, so you probably had a 6 a.m. flight or something like that.
To Oklahoma City or something.
Yeah.
So, but because it was a whole group of people traveling, it was like bus leaves at 4 a.m. I go, the flight ain't leaving till 6:30. Why I got to be there to leave at 4?
Yeah.
And so I would not even sleep. It sucked. So that first day would be like, you get to the hotel, you just take a nap, and then get ready to play again.
Right.
But yeah, so AA, I was there for like 2 months solid, and I was the lefty out of the pen, getting lefties and getting righties out. And the big leagues that year in 2000, this is 2003, the big leagues that year had Bruce Chen in the bullpen, lefty. They were only lefty. Well, Bruce was getting lit up all from April until May, and then part of June. They sent him down to AAA or cut him, or I think they cut him or waived him, and then he refused his minor league assignment.
Oh, okay.
Went somewhere else. So they took the AAA guy, Nathan Bland, put him in AAA. So it opened up a spot for me. I wasn't on the 40-man roster yet, so they didn't. You know, I wasn't a priority to get called up, but it went pecking order. I was like I could see the depth chart. It was Bruce Chen, Nate Bland, and I was right there. So I was two lefties were ahead of me at the big league. I mean, to get to they were in my way to get to the big leagues.
Right.
But I was on a schedule. I pretty much knew when I was going to pitch. And that's kind of weird for a bullpen guy, but it was like a set schedule. And one series, this is like the end of June. I just basically like sat in the bullpen a whole game going, God, there was some times I could have got up and helped the team. I didn't pitch. So I didn't hear any rumors about the big leagues or nothing. Well, the game's over, and we're walking back, and there's a veteran by the name of Rob Stanifer. He's like, you're going to the big leagues. I go, what do you mean I'm going to the big leagues? He goes, dude, you've been shoving for the whole month, putting up goose eggs. And I think the lefty up there got lit up again, so you might be going up. And I was like, no way. I'm not even on the roster, dude. I'm not getting called up. And so I'm in the shower, and it's, that my head starts tingling, and I'm just, this is cool. All right, we'll see what happens. I'm like, I'm still kind of pissed I didn't pitch. And then And then the pitching coach, Jim Hickey, who was the pitching coach for Tampa Bay Rays for a couple years after us, he walks in. He's like, "Hey, Mike, Skip needs to see you. Get your pants on and dry off and come in." And then all of a sudden, the dudes in the shower were like, "Oh!" They went, "Gallo's going to the big leagues," and I'm like, "No way!" And I couldn't stop from
You still
smiling.
didn't believe it, yeah.
No, I just was like, that. Maybe they're sending me back to Double-A.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get my hopes up,
right.
But I know I was pitching my butt off, and
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I go into the coach's office, and mind you, we're in New Orleans, a town called Metairie, and it's a suburb of New Orleans. I walk in, and my head coach that calls me Bull, he's eating a big bowl of crawfish, and they look like mini lobsters. It looks disgusting. And he's just cracking them open and eating them, and he's got no shirt on. He's got big, hairy chest. And the pieces, I think a piece of crawfish was stuck in his chest there.
Yeah,
but he was just eating his food. And he goes, hey, Bull. I go, what's up, coach? And he goes, oh, by the way, I don't think I put on my pants when I was getting dressed so fast. I thought I ripped them. That's how fast I put them on. But to go in the coach's office, I got dressed so fast.
Yeah.
But he just goes, hey, I got good news and bad news. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the bad news? He goes, bad news is you got to go home. You got to pack. You're leaving at 5 a.m. or your ride's coming to get you at 5 a.m. And I'm like, okay, what's the good news? He goes, you're going to Houston. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, you're going to Houston. They're playing the Rangers. It's interleague right now because Houston was in the National League then.
Right.
And they're at home. You're flying to Houston, and you're going to get situated in the hotel, and you're going to the big leagues. Congratulations. And I just was like, mind you, I started in Double-A, and now that was April. By July 1st, I was in Houston. And no one said anything to me to remotely think that I was going to be in the big leagues that year. And if you want to say the word meteoric, like a meteoric rise, that's kind of how it happened. And
for sure, when you spend 3 years in A-ball and then all of a sudden you go Double-A Fall League, Triple-A, or and then you're up there in a year's time.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, I pitched 2 months in Double-A, a month in Triple-A, so I had 3 months combined of Double-A, Triple-A. So basically, my learning on the job happened in A-ball.
Yeah. You spent a lot of time there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You're able to stick with it, and you finally got your chance.
Yeah. So overall, but my Father Time was knocking on the door too. I was going to be 26, and I turned 26 that year in 2003. So it was time to see what I got. And so I get to Houston, and it was surreal. Do you remember Orlando Merced?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get to the stadium, and I'm in awe. I've never been to Minute Maid Park before, let alone Houston. I've never even been to Houston.
Right.
And so I've only seen pictures of it. And so I get to Minute Maid Park, and our clubhouse guy was an old Italian guy, Dennis Laborio. God rest his soul. He passed away too, but he was old school. And hey, rookie, shut the up, and here's your hey, just throw it. Here's your jersey, and I was number 45, and I'm like, what a crappy number that is. But I was like, you could have gave me number 87, and I don't care.
Who cares?
But I'm in the big league, so mind you, I wasn't in big league camp, so they had to make a bunch of jerseys and stuff for me, and obviously bats. Some in the National League, I was like, where's my bats? I might have to bat in the big leagues.
Yeah.
And they said, they're coming. Shut up, little rookie. Get out of here. So they put me in a locker next to Orlando Merced, and he's smoking a cigarette. And I'm like, to let you smoke in here? And so I was like, oh, geez.
That's right.
Turned out. Yeah. So I was like, holy cow. This is weird. He's smoking a cigarette in the locker room, but he was like putting it out real quick. And I was like, hey, this is a nice locker room. So, mind you, I get to the big leagues. It's Bagwell, Biggio, Billy Wagner.
Berkman.
Lance Berkman. But I was more pumped about Billy Wagner. I mean, he was the first lefty I ever knew that threw 100 miles an hour next to Randy Johnson, who wasn't very tall. He was kind of like my height.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, as a rookie in the bullpen, your throwing partner is Billy Wagner as you get to the field. So here I am, and there's a reason for that, because Billy does not know how to throw the ball soft. So we're not even 50 feet away, and he's blowing me up at 90. And it's whack, whack, whack. And I'm like, woo. I'm like, thanks. And all the guys are laughing, but I'm catching him. And he didn't throw any at my ankles, thank God, because they would have hurt, or
Yeah.
maybe he did, and I jumped out of the way because I was kind of ready for it.
Right.
But playing catch with Billy Wagner, that was surreal. But just looking around the clubhouse and
You had some big names in the clubhouse, man. I mean, Hall of Famers,
Well, it got even better when Clemens and Pettitte showed up the following year. I was like,
wow, you guys are loaded.
Dude, it was all of a sudden it was we became serious contenders when those guys came in because we actually had some workhorses on the mound and guys that should be in the Hall of Fame, but unfortunately HGH and all that stuff got in the way. But
right.
I think Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. I think these guys, because I was in there, my rookie year, they were just starting to clean up steroids. Not quite though. Jose Canseco's book didn't come out yet, but there was guys saucing still, and you didn't see anybody doing steroids, but you kind of question some things, But in your mind, not out loud, you're like, hey, you're on my team. I don't care what you do. Let's just win. And
right. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about 2005, the following year when you guys went to the World Series. What can you tell us? I mean, obviously, you got to pitch it, which is awesome, and I'm sure you can tell us about that. But as far as the team goes, I mean, you guys, like we were talking about earlier, you guys were very stacked, and you end up playing a White Sox team that also was stacked. So what do you remember about the 2005 World Series?
Well, the World Series, back it up a little bit. I didn't make the team that year either at a big league camp. I was 0 for 2 making big league camp. We signed John Franco, who was 42 years old, a year younger than me now. They give him $1 million and send me to AAA.
He's a lefty.
Yeah, but he couldn't break a pane of glass. He was throwing 80 poo miles an hour, and he got lit up until like June. They wanted to see if they were going to get their $1 million worth out of him.
Right.
But then they finally called me up in June, and I just came in right away, and we had Scrap Iron, Phil Garner as our coach. He said, dude, you got to show me something. Let's go, Gallo. Come on. Let's go, Rooster. Roger Clemens nicknamed me Rooster because my last name in Spanish is Rooster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Gallo, Rooster. So Clemens, I have a signed jersey in my closet that says, to Rooster. Keep up. I forgot what he wrote on there, but I need to frame that thing. But anyways, he was a good guy. He was like a politician, but he was a good guy, good teammate. So was Andy and all those guys. But anyways, I get called up, and then we get hot. We're in the wild card race, and we leapfrog a bunch of teams the last month. And I'll never forget the 18-inning game that we had with the Braves. I mean, the morning football game started and the afternoon NFL games were over, and we were still playing baseball. I'll never forget how hungry I was. But Chris Burke hits a walk-off home run in the 18th inning.
That's right, Chris Burke. Yeah.
Yep, and then it sets up another showdown with the Cardinals. We got beat by them in 04, and then now we're playing against the Cardinals again with Pujols and, Isringhouse, all those. I mean, there are a lot of dudes. Jimmy Edmonds. I mean, just good ball players, and
Chris
it was
Carpenter,
fun.
right?
Yeah, Carpenter was on that team. Wainwright was just a rookie, I think. Yeah. So he's still pitching. It's crazy. Yeah. But it was a cool trip. All of a sudden, we're I'll never forget the home run by Albert Pujols off Brad Lidge. Lidgy, good old Lidgy. He gives up that home run, and we were about to go to our first World Series. We're at home in front of our own crowd, and Albert Pujols hits a home run in the top of the ninth inning, a 2-run blast, and all you could hear was that Cardinal dugout cheering, and it was eerie. Like, for the couple Cardinal fans in a packed 43,000 standing room only crowd with the roof closed, all you could hear was that dugout of the other opposing team going nuts. And it was eerie because the crowd was on their feet going nuts. It was 2 outs, I think it was. We were 1 out away from going to our first World Series. And no Texas team has ever been to the World Series. The Rangers never been, and neither were the Astros. So, anyways, it was a climatic experience. So we get back in the dugout. We lose the game, and Phil Garner's yelling and screaming, I can't believe we have to go back to effing St. Louis. And we had Roy Oswalt, our ace, pretty much, over Clemens and Pettitte. Clemens was an ace, but Roy was an ace-er. He was like
in
the
his
ace
prime
plus.
at that point.
Yeah, he was the ace plus.
Yeah.
So overall, we had Roy going game 6, and we all knew he was going to shove. We just got a hit for him. We just had a hit. And the owner, Drayton McClain, who owned our team, the Astros, he said, if you get this win, Roy, I'll buy you a tractor. Because Roy was from Weir, Mississippi, a town called Weir. And Roy mentioned to the owner back in the day, he's like, yeah, I just bought some land. I got to clear some trees. I got to buy a tractor. And I guess the owner remembered that. He said, hey, I'll buy that tractor for you. So no lie, after the season was over that year, I jumped ahead after the World Series. They had a ceremony out in front of Minute Maid Park of Drake McClain. He pulled up a big old tractor trailer and gave the keys to Roy and said, there you go, buddy.
That's pretty cool. That's a great story.
You could Google that one. But the World Series, I mean, gosh, it was surreal. Going to Chicago, it was freezing. I was watching the other side, the American League side. I was praying for the Angels to get by those to win because then I could come home for the World Series.
That's right.
And A.J. Brzezinski killed him. And so I was like, when I knew I was going to be facing A.J., I studied up. Brett Ausmus knew who I was facing. He's like, dude, we're just going to carve him up with sinkers in all day if you face him. Lo and behold, that's what I did in the World Series. I faced A.J. twice, all situational. And then Joe Creedy once, the third baseman.
That's right.
I got 3 ground ball outs spaced into 2 different games. We got swept, but it was cool. In fact, I got my World Series ring over there if you want to see it.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, if you want to, you don't have to worry about it.
No, I can show it later. Yeah, no worries. Okay. But it's a National League ring. It's a second place ring, but it's a National League.
Right.
They'll never be National League champions again.
That's true. Wow, interesting.
But I'll never forget, you're used to watching the World Series on TV when you're younger, and you're going to these northern towns that are freezing in October. I'm like, damn, sucks pitching in the cold. Pitchers, I hate pitching in the cold. I hate wearing sleeves.
Same here, yeah.
Yeah, I can't pitch in sleeves. So, I mean, I can, but I hate wearing them.
Well, we grew up on the West Coast where we don't have to wear sleeves ever.
Exactly.
Never,
Exactly. So, I'll never forget the bullpen in Chicago. We had not a campfire, but like a heater in a circle, and we were just huddled around. I had a parka. I had a sweater on. I had a parka. I was sweating. Every inning I was sweating, just sitting there going, I'm staying warm. I'm just chilling, watching the game, but I'm staying warm because the temperature got to the low 40s, and to me that's freezing. So sure enough, the phone rang. I think it was game 2 that I had to go warm and get hot, and I got hot, and I came in to pitch, and I get back to the dugout. A lot of people don't know this story. I get back to the dugout because we sat them down, and I get told and by the pitching coach, he's like, hey, if we're tied, you're going back out there because you got to face Scott Pasednik, who was my first big league hitter I ever faced back in 2003. So I had some experience with him. Pasednik, and then you got to face Uribe, who has a lower batting average versus lefties. He's a switch hitter. So you're going to face him on the right side, but you're just going to keep sinkers and slider if you want, whatever you want to do. I'm like, okay. So Lidge is warming up in the bullpen, the closer. Mind you, we're down 6-4, I think it was, or 4-2. I forgot what it was.
Yeah.
And we tied the game up. So I'm like, oh, all right.
You're going back out there.
Dude, so we're tying the game up, and I look over, and I see Garner on the phone, or the pitch coach on the phone, and I can't hear what he's saying because I'm way down at the other end of the dugout. And I'm just sitting there going, I hope he doesn't change his mind because these hitters are mine. I need to face them. And sure shit, the third out's made, and we're on the road. You don't want to bring your closer in on the road if you don't have the lead.
Right.
So they did. They bring Lidge in, and Lidge gives up a solo shot to Scott Pasednik, walk-off. And it sucked because we battled in that game. Every game was like that. We were down by just like 1 run. We just didn't get that big hit. We got the big hit like in the 5th or 6th inning. We didn't get it late in the game like we needed. So, but it was an awesome experience. And then, I did make the team in 2006, but they signed Trevor Miller, another lefty, gave him a bunch of money. So all of a sudden, a team that was only used to having 1 lefty, now we had 2. I was the early lefty specialist, and then Trevor was the late lefty specialist, which means he would pitch the 8th, maybe the 9th inning sometimes.
Okay.
So it turned out to be a waste of space because, it turned out Trevor got hurt, and then I was the only guy. Trevor came back, and I had a couple bad games, and there was no room for me. They needed a long inning guy, so they sent me down, and they still could option me down. So I think I burned my last option that time, and I go down to AAA kind of pissed off. I'm like, this sucks. I pitched in the World Series. You guys treat me like crap.
That's got to be hard mentally.
Oh yeah. I had a couple bad games, and it was early, and they just said, hey, you got to go down and work on some things. I'm like, dude, I'm 28, 29 years old. I mean, I don't have much time here. What's going on here? And at the game, the analytics was starting to slide in slowly. And you can see now, look at a AAA roster today. The oldest guy is maybe 23 years old.
Oh, it's crazy. There's no more old veterans on these teams anymore.
Yeah, and 28 still young.
Yeah.
But to baseball it wasn't. So all of a sudden, I'm in AAA and I sit there for a month and I didn't get called back up, and they called up another guy, and then they called up a lefty, and then all of a sudden I'm off the roster, and I said, trade me. Can you guys trade me? I don't want to be here anymore. You guys obviously don't want me here anymore.
Right.
Trade me. I told my agent to tell him that, and I don't know if that was the right move, because I don't know if it blackballed me, but I finished the year in AAA, and then that year I go to that offseason I go to the Winter League in Venezuela, and pitched a little bit over there. Oh, actually, you know what? I took that fall off. I'm totally losing my mind.
Okay.
06, I took the fall off because Dave Snow my old college coach, worked for the Rockies. And he contacted me and said, hey, we're interested in giving you a split contract, AAA, double A, AAA big leagues.
Nice.
Or maybe it was just AAA big leagues. So I signed with the Rockies. Not a good place to pitch, man.
Yeah, that's high altitude, man. The ball flies there.
And we were in Colorado Springs, and then Snowman dropped me down a little bit, three quarters, and wanted more of this, not this.
Okay.
And then so it worked for a little bit, but then I tweaked my back because I changed my mechanics a little bit. And I had a great spring training with the Rockies. I thought I was going to make the team because I wasn't on the roster. I was a non-roster invites, and there was a spot possibly available. And I outpitched Tom Martin, who got paid a boatload of money, signed late, and came in. He was a veteran. And there's these veterans that just got these contracts late that, to me, were stealing paychecks.
Right.
They didn't do their job. So I break camp thinking, I got Rockies players that I became friends with that were like, dude, if you don't make this team, this is bullshit. I said, I know. Dude, you had a great spring training. I mean, I was on a schedule like every other game I was pitching. They were trying to get a good look at me. And I faced some good hitters in that big league camp in Arizona. That was a cool thing having spring training in Arizona, because previous ones were in Arizona. Florida,
yeah.
Kissimmee. Yeah.
Well, that Rockies team they were almost, 07, they made the World Series. So they had a lot of talent too.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, every month in Colorado Springs, I broke it down like each month was like a new month for me. I was looking as a whole. I'm like, if I throw a scoreless month, that's looking good. So I was just shooting for scoreless months. So I throw a scoreless August, just when
perfect time
they're starting to get hot. I'm like, you know what? I'm ready. I want to show. I'm good. I'm ready to go. And we signed a guy named Dan Serafini. Came in throwing 94 from the left side. Came from Japan. Dude was kind of jacked. And I'm like, I wonder if that's clean, because you're going to get rolled if you're not. I was thinking that. So lo and behold, September call-ups come. And I'm pitching my butt off. I'm like his left-handed guy coming out of the bullpen shoving. And they call up Dan Serafini to the big leagues. And this kid sniffs one game and then fails the drug test.
Oh, no.
And gets suspended, never makes it back to the big leagues again. They didn't even call me up. They didn't even call me up for the series. I forgot what they did for the lefty situation. Or maybe someone got healthy, but I was at home and I was pissed. And so I went to Venezuela, pitched as a starter again down in Venezuela. I had a good cultural experience down there. And then the Blue Jays were the only team to give me an opportunity in 2008. They put me in AA after spring training was good.
But you're in your 30s, almost 30 now?
I was 30, had my daughter. My daughter was just born. So it was either time to poop or get off the pot again. And, so long story short, I go to AA, and I'm the closer, setup closer, and I did well. I was in New Hampshire. So now I'm in the Eastern League. That was a cool experience. Got to go to the Eastern League. That was cool. Then they called me up to Syracuse. They gave me 5 innings. I give up a couple runs, and then all of a sudden they send down like 2 or 3 guys from the big leagues for rehab. And this is like after a month of me being there. All of a sudden I'm sitting through a whole series not pitching because these guys need innings. So the writing was on the wall that I wasn't a priority, and I didn't do much to open up the eyes for them to warrant me to keep me. It was easy for them to release me, and so I got released right before Father's Day in June, and I drove home from Syracuse, New York. It took me 3 days. Syracuse straight to Long Beach, California.
Wow.
And I thought I was going to get picked up by somebody. I tried going to Japan. I got offered a spot in Taiwan, but I didn't want to go to Taiwan. It was kind of corrupt over there. They're betting on games and stuff over there. Like it's corrupt over there.
Yeah.
So overall, I did try to make some attempts to stay in shape, and I tried to play for where Randall played for the Long Beach Armada.
Oh yeah.
The catcher, the old catcher for the Dodgers. Yeager. Yeager was the head coach, and I went and talked to him, and I'm like, dude, I have a house payment. What's the most you can pay me? I'll come pitch for you. And I don't even know if I could travel with you guys yet. I can pitch home games, be that kind of guy. And he's like, well, look, I can only give you $1,500 a month. And I'm like, well, I need to get a job. I have a house payment, and I'm just peeing through my savings from baseball. And I was like, I need to get a job. So I couldn't take the offer. And
yeah, you knew at that point you were done with baseball for the most part?
Yeah, not mentally I wasn't. But the doors were all closed.
Yeah.
I didn't have any more opportunities. So, I just got into my job at Southern, and I just put my nose to the grindstone and said, I got to take care of my family. I need medical benefits. And so the rest is history. I blink, and I've been at this company now for 12 years. And
that's
I've
unbelievable,
coached.
Man.
Yeah, I've coached. I want to coach. I want to coach college. I don't want to coach high school, but if I had my credential, I don't mind taking over a pitching staff of a varsity program, but it needs to pay the bills. I can't do it for a stipend check for $1,500. If I'm going to walk away from my job, I need to be supplemented so I can pay my bills and take care of my family.
Sure.
So it's almost like you need your buddy to get the head coaching job at a D1 program so you could be a full-time assistant.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes. And, everybody says you got to pay your dues. I go, look, I may not have coached at every level, but I played at every level. I had great coaching. I have great communication skills. I could go talk to mom and dad in the living room and say, look, I like what I see in your son. I know he could come here and pitch for us. I could get him a degree, and I could maybe get him a pro ball if he just comes and does his work and gets his, does what he's supposed to do. I've rehearsed that speech over and over in my head because I want that job one day. But I know it's a grinding job. You never see your family, and it's really
well, especially with college, you got to go recruit probably. And, if you're not the head guy, even the head guy has to recruit. But if you're an assistant, you got to go recruit.
Yeah, and to me, I would apply for that job right away. If you're going to give me $90, $80 a year, I'm gone. I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I'd miss coaching my kids' teams, and I never played soccer, and I'm coaching AYO soccer. It's fun. but coaching baseball, playing catch with my son, and he's 7 now. He turned 7 on Saturday, and playing catch with him is fun, and we're getting the hang of it. So in the meantime, though, baseball's been. As Pedro Martinez, Betty good to me.
Well, I wanted to, since we're both Long Beach guys, I wanted to ask you because Coach Valenzuela obviously was not what you would quote unquote a dirtbag or a Long Beach guy. So and they've tried this over the years of just getting alumni basically or people that have coached in the system. What were your initial thoughts once they finally brought an outsider in, as far as he's not one of us technically, but at the same time, the program, we need to win at some point. So did you mind at this stage to get an quote-unquote outsider in the program?
Yeah, so there was all this noise. I was kind of like, I could be the glass half empty guy, a glass half full. I was always thinking it was half full. Granted, in the beginning, we had these powwows with Andy Fee, the AD. I love what he's doing, and I have much respect for Andy Fee. He had a big job to do, and he listened to us, and basically he took what we said as alumni and basically threw it all up on Eric, because it seemed like Eric ended up being his guy the whole time. He just had to get Eric out of St. Mary's.
Right.
And so that's a big deal. And but everybody else in the house was like pointing at a couple different guys to take over the program. One was TJ Bruce. One was Don Barbara. I was more leaning towards the Don Barbara kind of. If we're going to go X-Bag, I would love to have Don Barbara as the head coach, because he was our hitting coach in '98. We led the nation in batting, I think, that year, batting average, but those bats were a joke. They're not the BB core bats now. But overall, he's a dirtbag, but we didn't know anything about Eric. We heard of Eric, but we didn't know anything about him. And after meeting him and what he wants to do with the alumni and bring the alumni back, because not knocking Buckley, but Buckley brought some alumni back. But if you weren't one of his guys, you were a Snow guy. It was if you donate some money, it'll help. It was always that was never said. That was just the vibe. Whereas I don't care if you don't donate any money, just come back to the program. And because I would be the only guy from Snowman's era showing up in the alumni games to pitch. I mean, maybe some other teammates would come, but they wouldn't play. And to this day, I still try and pitch an inning against the current Long Beach State team. I did last year.
That's funny.
And I was not that sore. I was okay. Yeah. But Lord knows I'd like to get ready for this one, but we don't even know if we're going to be able to have one this year because of all the crap. But I really – and at the time, I'll tell you this, it was drama when they hired Eric. A lot of the alumni were like, we're done with the program. They're not dirtbags anymore. They're done. And we hate the fact that they're called the dirtbags because like I said, that was that badge you had to earn. Now you just put the jersey on, you're like, yeah, I'm a dirtbag. To us, it's still not good with us. It's still not, but it's trademark. It's a school. People like the name. And then obviously they got rid of the 49er thing that pissed off all the alumni too. I know a lot of people stopped donating to the school because of it, because they think it's ridiculous that they got rid of the 49er history of, it's not like because there's sharks, but now we're called the beach, and the dirtbags are just going to be the dirtbags. But that's still, it's like the alumni don't like that. You have to earn that. Now, granted, this team that we had last year, Eric's first team, very successful out of the gate. And all of a sudden, it's kind of like if you win, they'll come. It's kind of front running, but people wanted to see what was going to happen.
Right.
And see if it's going to be the same old crap. But Eric took a lot of Buckley's guys who were mentally beat up from what happened that previous year, that he had to help out and get the kids' minds right. And that's half the battle. Once you become a D1 player, just like in pro ball, it's what you have between the ears is what's going to help you be successful.
Yeah.
If you're like a dog and you keep beating them up and I'm not saying abuse them, but yell them, tell them they suck, whatever it may be. I'm not saying Buck did that. Who knows? But, something had to change. And Eric seemed to be the right guy right now, that he's taking the reins, and wait till Eric gets his own, a lot of his own recruiting, and he makes his own schedule, what he wants to do. I think this program is going to go back to Omaha within the next 5 years. I'm calling it. And Eric is, like I said, he's genuine. He's genuine. He's kind of like me. I'm a little bit more hyper, but he's a very, heart guy. He cares. He really cares. Whereas Buckley, I think, had 1 foot out, 1 foot in his last year. You could just kind of see it, after the letdown where they lost to Cal State Fullerton at home, which we can never let that down.
Well, it is
losing
interesting
at home.
That finally, I think it's okay that it's not one of the quote unquote our guys. We just need to win. So it doesn't really matter who's coaching. We just need to win.
Yeah, and I'll tell you right now, every coach wants to leave his own legacy behind. So as much as he's not a Snow guy, this could be the next.
Yeah.
He could be an Eric guy,
right.
I don't know. I mean, Buckley had his time, he never got to Omaha. And to me, I know the thing changed. It went, ours was just a big packed regional. And then you win that regional, you're going to Omaha. Now it's regional, 4 teams, and then you have a super regional, and then you could go to Omaha. So there's that extra step. So it is harder to get back to the dance, but they are letting more teams in than when I played. I think they expanded the field to 60 something. I don't know, more than 62, or I don't know. But anyways, it is harder to get there. It is. But you know what? To not be the best team in the Big West Conference, and this brings me back to basketball. We have one of the nicest. I'm sorry, that team keeps telling me what's up. All right, we have one of the nicest arenas in the pyramid.
The pyramid.
How can we not have a top Division I mid-major win the Big West every year basketball program? So not knocking the current coach, but it might be a time for a change.
He's been there for a long time.
I know, and you know what?
I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it is maybe ran its course now with that team.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to Buckley. It'll happen to other. Stuff can change when you change the captain of the ship. And, when you have the same captain over and over again and you're not winning the conference, that's the goal. When you get to your
you win the conference, you're doing something right.
Well, yeah, but you look at his steps. You win the conference. Then you get your regional bid. That's for baseball. But obviously, you win your conference, then you got to win your tournaments, and then you go to the dance. So I think that the Big West is coming back with the Big West Conference tournament now for baseball. I think I said that.
Oh, okay.
I read that somewhere, but I don't know because they weren't making money off it, so they took it away, and now it was just like a bloodbath. Finish first in the Big West, that you're the number one seed going out to a regional. It was no tournament. The tournament was fun.
Yeah,
because you could be like a fourth place finish in the Big West, win the tournament, you get the automatic bid.
Yeah.
and then the rest of the teams, they go by RPI and your record, and you got to hope that's strong to get an at-large bid. But but it's cool. But it's been fun. So I mean, overall, like I said, I want to get into coaching. It's just a matter of time when that happens.
Yeah. I want to ask you finally, some of your, or I guess one or two of your favorite big league stories when you were with the Astros.
Gosh, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So in the bullpen, right? Everybody's about the routines. You learn that in college. We have to have our routines, and in the bullpen, we always stretch around the third inning. Fourth inning, we start stretching. Obviously, there's guys that have to get up quick in case if the starter gets lit, you can't get out of the second inning.
Right.
But that didn't happen. That didn't happen too much. But not like the Braves-Dodgers game last night. God, the Braves pitcher, woo, he got lit. So, anyways, so on the flip side, these guys had their normal movements. I'm talking the number two in that bullpen crapper. Always, it was pinpoint for certain guys. They go take their second inning dump or the fourth inning dump, and it was always Brad Lidge who would go into the fourth inning. If you follow Brad Lidge, you got to go to the bathroom, whether to just go to the bathroom number one or number two. He would always leave a nice present for you in the toilets. He would never flush. And I'm telling you, at the sight, I'm like, that came out of you. You gave birth, bro. So that was funny. A lot of people don't know about those stories.
Oh yeah, sure.
But I'll tell you another one. As a rookie, you've seen it before. You gotta dress up the rookies on a trip. Well, our trip was messed up. I'll never forget. I didn't know when it was gonna happen. We just kind of knew it was gonna happen sometime. There are certain airports where we don't get the bus right on the tarmac. You got to walk through You got to walk through the public sometimes.
Like in the terminal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my rookie hazing year was I get back. We're playing the Cubs, and it's getaway day. I get back to my locker, and I see my suit's gone. My shoes are gone. Or no, my shoes are there, but my suit's gone. And there's a maternity dress in the friggin' locker. And I hold this up, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I got to wear this maternity dress because it was all baggy in the front, and it was bad. I had to wear my dress shoes with socks. It looked terrible. So I put on my sunglasses. It was at night. I walked out of Wrigley in this outfit, got on the bus. Everybody's laughing at me. But I had some buddies, and then we get off at the terminal in Chicago, and I had to walk through friggin' O'Hare in my friggin' maternity dress. There's pictures somewhere, I think. I don't know. Probably burned them. But yeah, that was embarrassing.
How about your favorite ballpark to play at other than Houston?
Well, I have a couple, but I'll tell you right now, one of my most favorite ballparks ever is Wrigley Field.
Yeah.
I pitched one of my best games there. I came in, Tim Redding got beat up 3-4 innings. I warmed up, and we were already losing 4-5-0. It was kind of reminded me of the Fullerton game. We were getting spanked. I come in with bases loaded, and I faced Corey Patterson first. I struck him out to get the first out, and then the next guy, I forgot who it was, Barrett maybe, catcher, hits a comebacker right back at me. I pick it up, throw it to home. I got the good 1, 2, 2 to 3 double play out of the inning. 0 for 3. Not one inherited runner score, because that was, you take that as like your job. You don't let those runners score when you're on the mound. So inherited runners is like your resume. They look at that like, how many inherited runners did you give up? And I guarantee you, I'll challenge you if you can. Let me know what my inherited runners is, if you can ever find that stat, how many inherited runners I gave up in my 162 games. I think I was in 162 big league games, and I like to know how many inherited runners I gave up.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, let me know. I'll get you a bottle of booze for it. Yeah, but anyways, I took pride in that. So I got the scoreless inning or whatever, and then I went out and threw another scoreless inning, and then we started mashing, and I was the last pitcher of record after the 5th inning, and I got the win. So it was one of my major league wins that I got out of Wrigley Field. And oh gosh, I love that ballpark. It just was old school. I mean, it was a dump, but it was old school. And going to Dodger Stadium for the first time was a lifelong dream come true. I'll never forget walking to Dodger Stadium, and to this day, I still don't know why they never gave me an opportunity to play for them, because I did okay against the Dodgers, but I didn't throw. They were in love with the velocity. I was not that guy popping 94 from the left side. I was 89 where I could sink it and play with it. And so, it didn't work out for me, but every time going to Dodger Stadium was awesome. I love going to Pittsburgh in the new ballpark. I didn't see the old one. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati were very similar. But yeah, Wrigley's cool. Going to Milwaukee Stadium, my family's from Wisconsin, and go to Miller Park, that was so cool because I had a family member that was working there and got to come to a lot of my games. And, but nothing beats meeting some of the sportscasters that call the games. I met Bob Uecker, but number one, my biggest thing ever was meeting Vince Scully. One of the first things.
Sure.
Oh, I got 2 autographed balls from Vinny, and they're my prized possessions. I made sure I told my media guys when Vin gets to the stadium, I got to the field early that day when he came to Houston for the first time when the Dodgers came out. I want to meet Vinny. And I got to the field 5 hours before the game, and they told me, they said, Mike, we'll walk you up. And I got to meet Vinny, and Vinny was like my grandpa. I mean, just a genuine human being. And it was a sad day when he walked away. He had to retire from baseball, because I still think he could call a World Series game to this day.
Oh, he probably could.
Yeah. I know he's just, and people say leave Vin alone, he's done it. I'd like to ask Vin if he misses it. I really do. And maybe he's losing some of his memory, I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, I'd love to hear his voice, because nothing beats it's time for Dodger baseball.
That's right.
And and even to this day, I used to be a Dodger fan, diehard, but, I kind of root for players now. Like, I want to see Mike Trout win a World Series. Of course, I would love to see the Dodgers win a World Series. I was 10 years old the last time they won a World Series.
Right.
In 88, I was running around in my underwear when Kirk Gibson hit that home run. I remember it. In fact, I have 2 unused World Series tickets that I just sent to PSA, got them back. They're airtight now. They're unused because my mom's boss forgot he had them. And when my mom worked at the Long Beach airport, so I got them graded, and they're authentic. And now I'm going to frame them. And I'd like to get Kirk Gibson to sign them or something, because they're from Game 1 World Series, 1988 World Series tickets. I'll show them to you one time. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. Damn, but, that's insane. I want to ask you real quick about some of the players you played against. So who do you think was, outside of your teammates, like who's the best pitcher you saw or the best hitter you saw? One of those two.
God, I'll say best pitcher, Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. Those dudes just carved. Felix Hernandez, I saw a lot in spring training. He was just unreal. Cardinals pitchers.
All of them.
Yeah. Why am I drawing a blank on the Cardinals, the horse that always beat us up?
Are you talking about Carpenter?
Carpenter, he was a guy that owned us a little bit. Closer-wise, seeing Trevor Hoffman close out games was amazing. Hearing the stadium play that has
Hell's Bells.
Yeah. I mean, that was cool. Billy Wagner coming out of the bullpen to enter Sandman, because within Mariano Rivera had that too, but Billy was first before Mariano.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I have to see who had it first, but he came out to enter Sandman.
You got to see Pujols in his prime, or did you ever face him?
I faced him in single A, and that was when I was a starter, and he didn't hit any home runs off me. Yep. Facing one of my idols late in his career was a trip. Facing Ken Griffey Jr. was a trip, because it was towards the end of his career, and the first time I faced him, I struck him out on sliders, just slider. Brad Ausmus said, just throw sliders here, strike him out. I'm like, okay. And I did, and struck him out. I still have his 89 Upper Deck card. And so I just know that was one of my favorite baseball cards, the 89 Upper Deck, #1, Ken Griffey Jr. And now I'm facing him. So that was a trip. A hitter that owned me, though, was Lyle Overbay out of Reno, Nevada. I played against him at Nevada. I don't remember him hitting me that hard until I got to the big leagues. He was like 7 for 11 off me. But the problem was it took 7 times for me to figure out that I needed to pitch him inside. He's expecting that ball outside against lefties. That's all he sees, and sliders away.
Right.
So I tell Brad, I like Brad. This guy's lighting me up every time. If I face him again, let's go in. So started going in. And lo and behold, the last 2 times I faced him, just jammed the snot out of him, and he rolled it over. And I was like, thank God, I figured out. I finally had to get him out. But he got me a bunch of times before I could get him.
It's always the random guys that get you, right? And you remember the stars, but like there's always random guys that just have your numbers sometimes.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, watching Pools hit was pretty amazing. But, just watching Craig Biggio, and, Bagwell, but Biggio and Lance Berkman can wake up out of bed, brush his teeth, get a bat, and hit 95. Hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. He would come to the field with bedhead, look like he would just wake up, and then he's out there just chilling and he hitting the ball and just mashing. And I mean, Berkman
he is a professional hitter, man. He just knew the strike zone so well, and he put a bat on it.
Did he put up numbers to get to the Hall of Fame? I don't know. What does he qualify?
I don't know. I have to go back and look. But I just remember he was just a really tough out. Like some guys just know how to hit, just like you're talking about.
Yeah, he pitched it. He hit it where they pitched it. If it was away, he had power going the other way. If they pitched him in, bam. But I mean, gosh, watching. I never got to play the Yankees. I got called up before we played the Yankees. I always wanted to play the Yankees. Never did. Boston, we never played Boston.
Yeah.
We played the Royals. Never played the Indians. That whole AL East, we never played. It was kind of a bummer.
Right.
But playing in that Central Division was fun. And, going up, we did play in the West. Played it. We didn't play at Angels, but I did give up a home run to Vladimir Guerrero. That was bull crap. It was a line drive, and I'll tell you right now, Minute Maid Park to left field is a bandbox. It's like 320 to left.
Yeah.
It's a joke, dude. I threw a changeup to Freddie Garcia, and he was off his front foot, just popped it up, and then it was a home run. I was like, that's a joke. I already got him on his front foot, popped him up, and you're going to tell me it's a home run?
Vlad was unbelievable. It's funny you bring that name. Just in right field too, his arm was unbelievable too. Like he was just so unorthodox when he swung the stick, Yeah.
I remember Eckstein crowding the plate. I think he led the league in getting hit. I don't know. That was another guy that I remember. Eckstein was a midget that crowded the plate. I faced Sean Green. The first time I faced Sean Green with the Dodgers.
Lefty.
It was my rookie year, and I shook Brad. You never shake Brad, but I shook Brad Osmus. I shook him. I was a rookie. He's like, okay. I shook him. I didn't want a slider. I was ahead in the count 1-2. I wanted to give him Uncle Charlie. So I threw a friggin' 12-6 bender, and Sean Green took it. Strike 3. So I struck out Sean Green the first time I faced him. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Mike? I really appreciate everything tonight. A lot of great stories. So thank you for coming on, and definitely want to catch up with you down the road, man.
Yeah, have me on anytime. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I need to get that computer thing set up. But,
no, that's all good.
Man, yeah, I'm looking forward to coming back anytime. If you ever need anybody else, just blow me up. But, yeah, I bleed Long Beach State still. I mean, I'd say go 49ers, but that's going to hurt somebody's feelings. So go Beach, Dirtbags, earn the name first. You're not a dirtbag yet. So, it's good times, brother. Thanks again.
For sure. They don't call him Peppy for no reason. Hope you guys enjoyed Mike Gallo with all of his great stories and insight to a very crazy career for him. And, going from junior college to D1 to the College World Series to just being in the minors for as long as he was and finally getting that chance. And then of course, the great big league stories that he had. So my thanks to Mike Gallo. Hope you guys enjoyed that. As always, you can find me at Too Tall Sports Podcast on social media. You can follow the show on Twitter at Too Tall Sports. Facebook, you can find me there. Pretty active on Instagram. So if you want to find me there and follow along, I like to post clips throughout the week and kind of preview the shows as well. So if you want to follow me at Too Tall Sports Podcast, and you can find the show anywhere, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch the show, and of course, Apple Podcast. and please subscribe, rate, and review on there. That would be awesome. Enjoy your day, and we will see you for another great episode very soon. Thanks.